Indiana 16 straight times. Indiana won its first game here in 1998. They have not won since. 5 Indiana coaches have tried. Back to you, Brian.
All right, Andy, thanks. And here we go. Away we go at the Kohl Center. And the tip controlled by the Badgers. And to Andy's point, that win for Indiana, their last one here, was the first year of the Kohl Center. That was back in 1998. Dick Bennett leading the Badgers that year. And a long winning streak for Wisconsin. They're trying to snap a losing streak here today, while Indiana is going for their 9th consecutive victory, one of their best starts in program history. Shot clock down to 3, first possession of the game. Davison gets off the first look. It's an offensive board. A lean forward pulls it down, and another chance for the Badgers. Kobe King gets it deep. And the rebound ripped down by Joey Brunk.
2 offensive opportunities right there, Brian, and 2 isolation moves. And we thought Indiana might try to play with some pace. Al Durham pushing the basketball right down that Wisconsin defense. Have to think that that's exactly what Archie Miller wants to see.
Archie Miller talking to us today, knowing that his Hoosiers need to get to the free throw line, and on their first possession they push it off the rebound and they do get to the line. Archie now at his 3rd year at Indiana, 6 years at Dayton, went to the NCAA tournament his last 4 years at Dayton, and matching up against Greg Gard and the Badgers here this afternoon. This is year number 5 for Gard. Took over in December of 2015. Remember, took over for Bo Ryan. It was about this time of year back in 15. And 3 NCAA tournament appearances for Gard. Durham puts Indiana on the board first. Wisconsin slow pace. They are comfortable deep in the shot clock. Indiana wants to get up and run. They want to push tempo. We'll see who gives way here this afternoon as Reavers matches up with Brunk and knocks down the mid-range.
Joey Brunk's got to understand right there that when Nate Reavers faces up, he is looking to shoot that basketball. Not saying he can't back you down and make a play with his back to the basket, but that plays right into Reavers' hands with the jump shot.
Franklin on the take, got caught in the air and run down by Justin Smith. Plenty of time on the shot clock.
How about the improvements that Justin Smith has made this year? A guy that's really matured, not just with his skill set and understanding what he does and playing to his strengths, but as a leader for Archie Miller.
Coming off a terrific game against Florida State. Big win for the Hoosiers. Smith had 14 in that game. Trice clears the board on the push. Wisconsin on the move. King gives it back to Trice, and now Wisconsin gets in their set.
I like that. You get a nice probe. You push the ball. You see what's there, and then you bring it back out. Now Kobe King gets a wide open three-point shot.
Three-point shooting has been an area of concern for the Badgers this year. Kobe King this season getting up about 2 3-pointers per game on average. That's just his 5th make this year. He's 5 for 15. Brunk inside. Nice dish by the freshman Franklin, and Brunk scores it at the rim.
You gotta love what Armaan Franklin brings to this team. Hasn't made shots from the perimeter yet, but he's a guy that has all the intangibles. You get a paint touch right there, you drop it off, and you get your big fella going.
Franklin starts these games looking over his shoulder. Devontae Green comes off the bench for Indiana. He's coming off a 30-point game in their significant win at Assembly Hall over Florida State. Davison, shot clock at 6. 3-pointer is short. Flying high for the board is Jackson Davis.
Trace Jackson Davis, a guy that's probably not getting talked about nationally enough. A incredibly talented freshman. He's been off to a terrific start last 3 games, giving you about 18 and 11, but he can really get to the free throw line.
Jackson Davis is the reigning Big Ten Freshman of the Week. It's the 2nd such award he's won this year. A lean forward over Jackson Davis. Oh, a lean forward, buries a triple with a hand in his face.
He's a guy they got to get going. Shooting just 24% from 3. Shot over 40 as a freshman. Love the fact, get the head fake, take a step to the side, get yourself open, and knock it down with some confidence.
Ford did make a 3 in Wisconsin's loss against North Carolina State. Scored just 54 points, did the Badgers against NC State on the road. Trace Jackson Davis, flurry of moves, gets by Ford but can't score it. Reavers clears it away. 1 and done for the Hoosiers.
Leaning forward, playing that left hand, and knowing the scouting report. It's a big part about having success in this league.
The 3rd 3 already for Wisconsin. Joey Braun got turned around, and Reavers, who can hit the three, knocks it down. 3 out of 4 from behind the arc, and the Badgers off to a terrific start at home. Turnover. Brunk with a bad pass. Ford with the steal. Here's Ford. Passes up a 3. Now on the drive. Kicks it. Reavers again for 3. King with the offensive board and the putback.
Right now, doesn't this look like a different Wisconsin team than we've seen over the last 3 games? Getting paint touches, moving the basketball, and at the end of the day, Indiana's got to close possessions. Kobe King getting to the glass.
Three-pointer was lined up by Smith, but too strong. Wisconsin so good on the boards. Indiana getting to the foul line, their first possession. Haven't been there since. They rely heavily on the free throws. They've made 23 in their win against Florida State. Reavers, he's feeling it. The tongue is out. The mid-range is down. And Nate Reavers and the Wisconsin Badgers on a 10-0 run to take it.
And then this last game against NC State. But in talking to Dimitri Trice during shooting, he says, look, we were getting open looks. We just weren't burying them. And coaches just told us, just keep shooting. They're going to drop. Certainly they are here at the Kohl Center.
Well, we talked to Greg Gard today at shoot-around, Andy. It was apparent. Everyone on this team has the green light. He wants his guys to be aggressive. They need the basketball to move, and that was their issue in Raleigh and also New York City. But so far today, so good. That ball is moving. It's popping around, and guys are shooting the ball with a ton of confidence.
Race Thompson on the floor for the first time. Turns it over. And a wave of substitutions began for Archie Miller. Devontae Green checks in as well. Demezy Anderson on the floor also. Here is King. He rises up. That's his spot. Rattles it home. And the Badgers not only hitting 3 threes, but deadly in the mid-range in this early going as well.
You let him get to his mid-range jump shot. He has got a terrific pull-up jump shot. It's just Kobe King going, using the jab step and getting to his spot on the floor.
12-0 run here for Wisconsin. Jackson Davis gets deep again, can't clear it. And Ford with the rebound. Kobe King running the floor up ahead. Wisconsin had a big win here on their home floor against Marquette. And they have lost 3 straight since, losing on the road at NC State on Wednesday. Indiana picked up their biggest win of the year against Florida State Tuesday. Trice steps inside the three-point arc, knocks down a long 2, and the run is now 14-0, and it's 19 for Wisconsin.
That's just not having an understanding of what your opponent wants to do. Dimitri Trice comes off that ball screen. He's wide open, no one in sight. A guy that doesn't necessarily want to get to the basket. He loves the pull-up jump shot, though.
Kobe King got a hand on that attempt at a pass from Durham. Another opportunity here for Wisconsin. King open for 3. Pritzel can't keep it alive, into the hands of Thompson. And now Indiana behind their top scorer against Florida State. Devontae Green dropped a career-high 30 against the Seminoles at Assembly Hall. Nice dish and a nice finish as Race Thompson gets himself in the scorebook.
You love Devontae Green's feel, and when he plays pick and roll, he is lethal, whether it's scoring for himself or getting somebody else going. A terrific pocket pass. And Race Thompson, the beneficiary right there.
Pritzel on the cut. Ford found him, and a foul going to the basket. And substitutions coming for both coaches. Badgers will take a trip to the free throw line for the first time. Brevin Pritzel will shoot a pair.
If you're a Wisconsin fan, you have to love to see him get involved early. A guy that at times does not shoot enough, does not assert himself in the games. And Brevin Pritzel makes a terrific cut. Devontae Green jumps the flare. Pritzel doesn't knock down the free throw, but seeing him get involved in the offense early is always a good sign for Wisconsin.
Pritzel did not score against NC State on Wednesday. Played 22 minutes. Only put up 2 3-pointers. He missed them both. Knocks down the free throws. 20-6. Badgers in the lead. Deron Davis on the floor for the first time for Indiana. Also Jerome Hunter, the redshirt freshman. coming back from knee surgery. Archie Miller wants to play 10. Green goes, tough shot. Davis keeps it alive. Green secures it. Plenty of time on the shot clock and hit the rim. No Rob Fennessy today for Indiana once again. He's going to be down 2, maybe 3 weeks still, out with an ankle injury. Davis misses. Tyler Wall wrestling with Thompson. Hunter gives it up. Second chance opportunity, now a third chance for Indiana. Here's Hunter. Anderson, a sharp shooter from 3, quick release. And no blood there for Indiana.
3 pretty good looks, too, and that's something Indiana's done at a high level on the year, is get to the offensive glass. Greg Gard incredibly concerned about Indiana's ability to rebound the ball and get to the foul line. Got to be able to convert.
Wall comes up empty on his first try, the shifty freshman. And now Green left wide open, knocks it down. Davison hit the deck, and he looks like he is hobbled. Devontae Green found himself open as Davis was on the floor. Leads us to a time room, so it looks like he's okay, but he is out of the game. Devontae Green buried the 3, and let's see if we can pick it up here, Robbie.
Well, yeah, Race Thompson trailing into the play and just runs over Brad Davison, which leads to the Devontae Green 3-point field goal attempt.
11-point Wisconsin lead as Davis goes back out.
Wisconsin is really slipping these ball screens. They are not laying wood on any of these things. Indiana has to be aware of that. And if there's no contact, you're going right with your offensive man.
Badgers get deep in the clock here. 4 on the shot clock. And a look inside. Green jumped it. A steal for Devontae Green. Hoosiers in transition. Green, tough shot. Can't finish. And it's Reavers who clears it away. Got a couple of looks at it.
Not a game for the week on the backboard. You see both teams getting after Indiana, really crashing the offensive glass.
Trevor Anderson, the transfer from Green Bay. Fritzl down in the corner. Got Hunter on him, and as Anderson tries to get through the lane, Deron Davis with the foul. So Davis picks up his first foul. 10.5 to go on this first half. Wisconsin came out lighting it up from behind the arc. Made 3 of their first 4 threes. Tyler Wall will get his first breather. 6'7" freshman from Minnesota. He's been a nice find for Greg Gard. On the out-of-bounds play, Trice no with the 3. Durham back on the floor running the point. Durham and Brunk with a 2-man game, and it's Durham bangs it off the glass, and a whistle underneath. And that's going to belong to Reavers, I believe. And they're going to take a look at this here. You're the analyst.
Yeah.
So you're wrong.
The buck falls here. So I honestly would have thought that was the hook and hold.
I'm good with the call of common foul.
I am too.
But you're right. The way they've been calling
it happened and the way that they call it, I'm surprised.
You know what happens when you assume, Rob?
Yeah, I know. I've heard that before.
Amon Franklin gives it up. Brunk just a little unsure of himself, isn't he? Now, we talked a little bit about Indiana. This is their first road game. They have started the season 8-0, and a very light schedule for Archie Miller until last week. And that starts a run as they began their run against Florida State. Then they have Wisconsin. But their first road game, we're going to see what kind of nerves they deal with in a place they've had a difficult time winning. Every Hoosier fan knows how tough it has been here at the Kohl Center. 16 consecutive losses here. Fritzl on the ground looking for help, gets a timeout, and saves a possession for the Badgers. First timeout for Wisconsin. There will be 7. There was 7 on the shot clock. January.
Well, it just puts such a strange emphasis now on the front of your schedule. And as a fan of the game and as somebody that does the games, I think for us it's terrific because you get matchups like Indiana, Wisconsin at the Kohl Center early on in the season, especially now that football's about to take a break leading into the college football playoff. But as fans, great matchups coming up, and Big Ten basketball firmly in the spotlight.
Badgers got a good look coming out of that timeout. Unable to convert. Brunk down deep with Reavers, and it's slapped away by a lean Ford. Ford's been active here today. He's buried a 3. He's been good defensively. Cleaned up the glass for Wisconsin. 4 turnover for Indiana. Davison back on the floor. King passes up a three. Now will pull up. And he is deadly from the mid-range. And he knocks down his second from that area here today.
That is his deal. And how about setting it up with a terrific jab? You get the defender off balance, and he's as good as any we have in this league at getting to his one dribble pull-up.
King 9 points in 8 minutes. Smith answers a little mid-range of his own.
You have to think, if he can knock down shots, and more so from three, but any jump shot that Justin Smith gives you, it's going to open up the floor for him. An elite athlete playing with a terrific motor. He's gotten off to a really good start for Archie Miller.
All these mid-range jump shots, all the analytics community is cringing
they're
right now.
out the window here in Madison.
The 2-pointers are flying. A lead forward, 7 on the clock. Gives it up. Reavers, little shot fake. Reavers on the take with the left hand. Finishes.
How about that take from Nate Reavers? Show the ball, get a nice little head fake, and then drive it right to the rim. Reavers using that left. Not allowing Joey Brunk to get back in that play.
Reavers has played all 10 minutes. He's got 9 points. Smith blocked at the rim, but fouled first. And Justin Smith will head to the line for the Hoosiers.
Nate Reavers now has 9 points. You got to lean forward in the post, and Joey Brunk gets a little bit lost. How about the awkward finish and the left-hand finger roll? Nate Reavers, a guy that's got a chance to be a pro. Still trying to figure some things out, but with his size, man, there's a lot to like about his game.
Joey Brunk has had a tough matchup in the early going against Reavers. Well, all season long, BTN will be bringing awareness to the Coaches vs. Cancer program in collaboration with the National Association of Basketball Coaches. Coaches vs. Cancer works to unite coaches and fans to help the American Cancer Society fight cancer. Archie Miller, Greg Gard, and their terrific team of assistants all participating. In and out, the free throw from Smith. 24-11. Badgers lead it, approaching the 8-minute mark of this first half. Excellent shooting start for Wisconsin. King, nice catch, working on Anderson. King strong to the basket.
You get a great back screen, and Kobe King takes that cut with a purpose. He's going right to the basket, eyes on the passer, makes a tough catch in traffic. He's able to get to his right hand.
Badgers shooting at 58%. Kobe King now 11 in the game. His career high at Wisconsin is 18. That was earlier this season. He's on a run for that. In transition off the steal. Trice pushes, got King on his wing, and Trice finishes. High off the window, Demetric Trice took the contact. On the return, Anderson with an answer for 3. Big shot for the Hoosiers and Demezy Anderson.
It quiets the bleeding right now on the defensive end. Archie Miller talked about how rebounding needs to travel here for Indiana. Well, defense needs to travel too. They have not had the same energy that we saw the other night against Florida State. Certainly a team that fed off that crowd, but they have to crank it up a notch on this end right here. That's a good start.
Ford with a long 2. Smith with the board. Durham with his head up. Wisconsin gets back so well in transition D. And there's Anderson again. It's the front rim that's going to stay on this side of the floor. A foul on Wisconsin.
Well, this has been night and day from what we saw last week for Wisconsin. How about the back screen right then? What you want to see if you're a Wisconsin Badger fan is players taking ownership of the huddle. Yes, Greg Gard is the head coach, but when you have 2 guys that have played as much basketball here at Wisconsin as Demetric Trice and Brad Davison, you want those guys taking the lead and telling people exactly what's going on. Nobody has as good of an idea as the players themselves. So you love to see the activity in that huddle of your 2 guards.
Great calm, great communication. Greg Gard certainly agreeing with what was exchanged there, else he jumps back in, but he give him credit. He just laid out, let them have that conversation. Wisconsin off to a very good start. They're a much different team at the Kohl Center than they have been on the road. Greg Gard's squad right now is 4-4. They had a significant win over Marquette on this floor, but all of a sudden they've struggled away from the Kohl Center. And he knows to get back to the NCAA tournament, they're going to have to be a better team away from this venue, their comfort zone.
Well, it was amazing to see the NC State game. They looked so unsure of whether they should dribble, pass, shoot, whatever on the offensive end of the floor. Tonight, there's been ball movement. You got Tyler Wall flying in there, stealing possessions. It's been a different ball club here in Madison.
Reavers down on the block, guarded by the freshman, Jackson Davis.
And not letting him shoot. Make him make a move with his back to the basket, just like that. You know what? You shake his hand, you go down, and you play offense. That was good defense by Trace Jackson Davis.
Reavers now with 11 points. He and Kobe King have 11 apiece for Wisconsin. They put 30 on the board. This is a team that is comfortable playing entire games in the 50s and 60s. And already 30 points with 5.5 minutes in this first half. Badgers have shot it well at 57%. Green hit his first three, gets his own board on the long rebound. Now the little floater is good by Devontae Green.
That play was set up by his ball fake. He got that offensive rebound. A terrific ball fake. And off of that, the seas parted. Devontae Green able to get to his floater.
Green averaging there 16 points per game. He's 7th in the Big Ten, and that's coming off the bench this year for Archie Miller.
He is playing starters minutes. If it wasn't for the injury, you have to think he would be in the starting lineup. Indiana's been pretty banged up since the preseason.
Late clock, three-pointer is up and short by Trice. Good defensive stand by Indiana. Green pushes it. Durham wide open for three. No. Anderson with the putback. Demezy Anderson gets to the glass untouched. And the Hoosiers get a couple of big buckets when they need it.
Perimeter for the next, I'll say 3 seasons, because we've barely gotten into this one. It's the redshirt sophomore. You mentioned the injury, but has a lethal pull-up jumper, can really post up, loves to get on the offensive glass. He's just a good Big Ten player.
King and Reavers scored 11 points apiece against NC State. They already have 11 on the board and make it 13 for Kobe King. Gets to the rim, scores with the offhand. Indiana pushing it quickly even after a make. Archie Miller's going to ride with Anderson on the floor. Here's Green now up top. Nice catch and finish by Jackson Davis.
You'd love to see Devontae Green taking ownership on the offensive end right now, making plays for himself and for others. That's just hooking your freshman big right up there, trying to get him going.
Pritzel gives it up, Ford for three. Well, that inside-outside action by Wisconsin turns into a wide-open three by Aleem Ford.
Well, Greg Gard told us today, shoot around, they chart those paint touches, and when they get into the painted area, their points per possession skyrocket. Again, Brevin Pritzel with an outstanding cut.
And a foul as Jackson Davis scores. And he'll go to the line, a chance at three. Nice bounce from Jackson Davis to spring himself free. He's enjoying now, and he tweeted after the game, after Devontae Green kind of challenged him. We need Oladipo at more games. You keep playing like that, I'll be at all the games, boss.
You'd love to see that. Alumni from the Indiana program engaged. And Victor Oladipo, a guy who was a self-made pro, not a highly recruited guy, a guy that came in and worked his tail off. Now one of the better players in the NBA. Has had a terrific career.
Kobe King, a throwdown. The Badgers are finding some open spaces. Great body movement, ball movement for Wisconsin.
Well, you got to give a lot of credit to Greg Gard on that one. Flipping Indiana's aggressive defense, coming out of the timeout and setting up a big-time backdoor play for Kobe King. Here you see it. Trevor Anderson with the delivery, picking on the freshman Jerome Hunter, getting a little overzealous, overplaying the passing lanes. Kobe King knows what to do with it.
You couldn't have different opponents to match up against if you're Indiana than Florida State, and the way they play. And then Wisconsin, opposite ends of the spectrum. Wisconsin taking advantage of the overplay by the Hoosiers here.
And Archie Miller talked about today. He said Wisconsin, when they're at home, controls the tempo in ways that not many teams can. And so far today, we've seen them keep Indiana mostly out of transition.
Extra pass. Ford gets it from Pretzel. And another three for Aleem Ford.
Says Indiana doesn't, or excuse me, Wisconsin doesn't run. Pushing the basketball up the floor and then the extra pass.
5 made threes for Wisconsin. They've made 5 against NC State, but in 23 attempts for the game. And they've already hit 5. Aleem Ford connects once again with his 3rd made three. Jackson Davis strong. He got it deep and able to score it near the rim. Trace Jackson Davis, what a performer he has been for Indiana. Just a freshman out of Greenwood, Indiana. Played his high school ball at Center Grove. And another answer. Boy, the Badgers are just feeling it right now. Kobe King has 17 points. One off a career high, and he's done all of that in the first half.
As you said, as good players do, he's getting to his spot, he's rising up, and he's letting it fly, playing with so much confidence. We've talked about how good his mid-range jumper is. He's utilizing it today.
Offensive foul. It's going the other way. Wisconsin ball with 1:43 remaining in this first half. Well, the Hoosiers are searching for answers. Kobe King with 17. Nate Reavers with 11. King gets a big hand from this big crowd here at the Kohl Center. His best half of basketball as a Wisconsin Badger. Davison returning to the floor. And here's Ford again, feeling it. Comes up short, and it's out of bounds off the hands of Jackson Davis. Tried to secure it with one hand, and he loses it. An unforced error. And the Badgers will have the ball back, a full 20 on the clock.
Well, as stagnant as Wisconsin was in their games in New York and also down in Raleigh, they've been a different team. How about that screen? Brevin Pritzel right on cue. This has been an offensive clinic here in the first half for Wisconsin.
20-point Badger lead on their home floor. And the 44% of their field goal attempts overall coming from behind the arc. They feel like they're a good three-point shooting team. They just have not shot the ball well, especially on the road. Think about this. They scored 54 points against NC State for the game. Sitting on 45 right now as we approach the 1-minute mark. A terrific shooting performance by the Badgers. See if the Hoosiers have an answer here. Green turns, blocked by Ford, gets it back. Green blocked again, and a foul. I think Reavers got the block, but a foul from behind, I believe, on Ford. Or no, they're going to get Nate Reavers with the foul, and that'll be his second. It probably could have gone either way. Neither Badger thought they made contact. So Devontae Green at the free throw line was 5 of 7 at the line against Florida State. I mean, Wisconsin, Robbie, in their last 3 games, all losses. Look at their total points scored in the last 3 as they sit here with 45 right now.
Well, it was almost like it was hard to recognize who was playing in the NC State game. It was so un-Wisconsin-like. You didn't see a ton of the swing, and part of that is credit to NC State and what they do. They love to pressure you. But if you look at what they've done all year, this is only the second time in 9 games that they've had 40.5. They're by no means an offensive juggernaut. But today, operating at a high level.
Under a minute to go. Anderson to Ford. Ford's had the hot hand. He's made 3 threes. Tyler Wall down on the block. Shot clock to 12. Wisconsin resets. Never panicking with the shot clock deep. Ford passes it up. Ford on the take, and he's fouled. Foul's going to belong to Trace Jackson Davis. That'll be his first foul. Baseline out of bounds. Boy, Ford, what a start. Aleem with 13 points and 7 rebounds against NC State. He's averaging just over 10 a game. He's got 9 here today already. Davison caught in the corner. Notice Wisconsin, they invert, guards down on the block. Now Davison on the take. That's destroyed, but counted. A goaltend. You get a good look at the athleticism and the hops of Justin Smith, but it will count.
Jeez, he went upstairs to get this, and it is a good call. I think that ball was just starting to come down, but Justin Smith showing off the bounce.
Smith at 6'7", with that vertical near 40. Shot clock is off. Indiana with a chance at the final shot, desperately needing something good here at the end of this half. They are down 20 on the road in Madison. Durham trying to turn the corner. Down goes Trice. Wall's got the board. Chance for the Badgers. This will count if it goes. Wall, off the backboard. And that will bring us to the end of the first half.
Basically let Kobe King and Nate Reavers get too comfortable, and they got going and they got confident.
Kobe King, 17 in the first half on 8 of 10 shooting. Also made a three-pointer. First possession belongs to Indiana. The second half, Trace Jackson was denied, and Franklin misses the three, and that's going to be the last touch by Jackson Davis. And Wisconsin will have the ball. 20-point deficit for the Hoosiers. The lowest field goal percentage in a first half this season for Indiana. Shot at just 33%. Their previous low 41% against South Dakota State. And coming off their signature win of the year against Florida State. A rough showing in the first half. Davison trying to turn the corner. King now. Big first half. King is fouled on his way to the basket. He'll go to the line. Kobe King continues to be the aggressor.
He's getting wherever he wants on the floor, whether it's for his pull-up or also for drives. You see Justin Smith takes himself out of the play with the gamble, unable to get a hand on the basketball, and you're allowing a guy that's got it going already. 17 points in the first half with an uncontested drive. We're going to see what Indiana's made of here. Yeah. This is their first time on the road. Like Coach Miller said, popped in the mouth in the first half. We'll see what they're made of. We'll see what their energy level here is on the defensive end of the floor.
Kobe King now 19 points. That is a new career high for Kobe King. Now in his sophomore season, knee surgery last year, his freshman year. Wisconsin is such a difficult team to come back from. There's an Indiana turnover, and it's all going wrong now for the Hoosiers.
That's a premeditated read. You get a slip from Trace Jackson Davis, and Al Durham just throws it, even though Wisconsin had defended it really well.
You know, Robbie, if this is an up-and-down game, if these are two teams that like to play fast, there is a way back, even from
like
a
if it's Florida State,
if it's 20-point deficit.
Team, right?
Much different story with Wisconsin. They squeezed the game down so much, minimized possessions. It's going to be tough for Indiana to answer. Archie Miller doing all he can to wake up his Hoosiers.
When you just look at their effort and you compare it to last Tuesday against Florida State, and on this end of the floor, it hasn't been comparable. I was so impressed with the way that they guarded Florida State. Now, Wisconsin spreads you out with a ton of shooters who at home have made shots, but I just don't feel like they've competed on this end the way that they did.
Ford with the little floater at the rim on a nice setup by Kobe King. Oh, the Badgers so patient, and they are finding the open man often. Wisconsin making you play defense for the entirety of the shot clock. Wild shot by Brunk. He's had a rough one, especially defensively guarding Reavers. This is going to be a film game for him.
A tough matchup for him because Nate Reavers can take you outside onto the perimeter. He can shoot the basketball. He can drive it. And I just thought, like Andy said in our halftime report, you allow Nate Reavers to get so comfortable when you don't challenge him and you allow him to take 2 open jump shots from 15 feet. Like, that's good defense right there by Joey Brunk.
Joey Brunk needed that. Transfer from Butler. Graduated there in 3 years. He still has 2 years of eligibility in Indiana. Durham on the take. Plows into Ford. And a block is the call. 2 officials looked at one another. That'll be the second foul on Aleem Ford.
I love the drive by Aleem Ford, or excuse me, by Al Durham. Ooh, that's a tough call.
That's a gift. It looked to me like Steve McJunkins was ready to call a charge, and Kelly Pfeiffer had the block call. Greg Gard wants an explanation from Larry Scarrato, who says, I didn't make the call. I'm going to talk to somebody else, Greg.
Regardless of the call, I love the drive by Al Durham. You get a swung basketball, and all of a sudden that defense is closing out. Don't settle for jump shots. This is what Indiana does. They get to the foul line. You have to think if they're going to come back, yes, they're going to have to make perimeter jump shots, but they have to continue to be the aggressor on the offensive end.
Durham's hit all 4 of his free throws today. He's an excellent free throw shooter. Badgers in control. Second half. Big sports day here in the Big Ten and on Big Ten Network as Kobe King is fouled. where the usage rate is high for Kobe King. Ball is in his hands a lot, and a lot of possessions are ending with Kobe King. Substitutions for Archie Miller. Devontae Green will enter, and it's Durham who will sit. Saw Ohio State run away from Penn State. Yeah, the first game on BTN today. Got the BTN tailgate coming up after this one, and then of course setting up is Reavers with the little jump hook. Extends that Badger lead. 24 is the lead.
You just get the feeling that Nate Reavers smells blood with Joey Brunk guarding. Reavers likes that matchup. He's incredibly comfortable.
Reavers has 13 now on 6 of 10 shooting. He's pulled down 3 rebounds and a travel. Another Indiana turnover. Justin Smith with a giveaway. 7 turnovers. Badgers had a turnover early in the first half. And only one thus far is Archie Miller just searching for answers. Deron Davis will enter for Smith. There's Demezy Anderson as well. When you talk about the Indiana rotation, Robbie, and they played 10 players today. When Rob Fennessy returns, he's out with an ankle injury. They're hoping to get him back in a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks. That's going to expand their rotation to 11. Against the Florida State team, that's a strength. As a three-pointer is down. Reavers hits another 3. 16 for Reavers, his second made three-pointer. And you're seeing the full arsenal of Nate Reavers here this afternoon.
With Deron Davis and also Joey Brunk, it's just such a tough matchup. You'd like to go to maybe Trace Jackson Davis, but as a freshman, it's scary trusting a guy that hasn't played a road game yet with an assignment like a Nate Reavers, but he is feasting right now. That's just too easy. There is no reason that Deron Davis should lose Nate Reavers in that sense. He sets a screen, fine, but you got to understand your personnel. Nate Reavers is going to make you pay, especially in this building. He shot the ball really well on the season at home at 38% from 3.
Now Reavers overall this season just 27%, but he's hit a couple today. Deron Davis is fouled just into the game. Joe Hedstrom, the big man from Minnesota, the 7-footer, a redshirt freshman. His minutes have been limited here lately, but Greg Gard using this as an opportunity to get him some minutes on the floor. Free throws for Deron Davis. Wow. That pretty much sums up the day for Indiana. Deron Davis is 8 for 15 from the free throw line this season. He played in just 1 minute against Florida State. The matchups there were not favorable for Archie Miller, so he did not play much at all. Turnover, steal by Anderson. Green on the push. Green got it.
Demezy Anderson hasn't been a guy that scored the ball a ton this year. He can really shoot it, but defensively, he's been pretty good here in his sophomore year. Right there, just going and taking that ball. That's what Indiana's got to do. They got to get down and dirty on the defensive end, but that's just not happening right now.
I mean, you're a mechanics shooter and a mechanics guru. That's about as good as it gets. The sweet stroke of Brevin Pritzel.
Well, I think he needs to shoot more. I think his college coach thinks he needs to shoot more too. When he's getting shots, that's a sign that Wisconsin's healthy is really, or excuse me, Wisconsin's offense is really healthy. Brevin Pritzel showing off the range right here, getting it going.
Some buzz in Columbus.
Step further, he didn't just say the best team in the conference. He thinks they could be the best team in the country. And the way things are going right now in the country, where there is no great team, and I think Robbie would agree with me on this, there's no reason why Ohio State can't be in that conversation for possibly being one of the best teams in the country. And in that game, by the way, Lamar Stevens from Penn State, he fouled out with about 12 minutes to go in that game, which clearly altered and created that large margin for Ohio State over Penn State. But Ohio State's playing as well as any team in the country right now, and I think if you were to tier the Big Ten, you'd have to put Ohio State in that top 1, 2, 3 for sure.
Andy, I'm curious. I think we can all agree that Ohio State is the best team in the league right now. Then you go Maryland and Michigan, and I think you could argue over who's second or third. But then behind that, the league is up for grabs. Who would you have in that second or third spot?
Well, right now I'd have Maryland, although Illinois is giving them all they can handle. Yeah, I would go Maryland 2 and then Michigan 3. And look, if Michigan State ends up being the 4th best team in the Big Ten, then the Big Ten is going to be the best conference in the country because Michigan State's going to figure it out. So that's your top 4, arguably. But then there's that cluster behind them, and I think it's going to change. Could it be Purdue? Could it be Indiana? You know, will Wisconsin get their act together here once they get into the Big Ten? Will it be Illinois? You know, will it be Penn State? I think those teams will all rotate in that second grouping. But I think the top 4 really could be set with Ohio State, Maryland, Michigan, and Michigan State.
I agree with you. I think that as we look at the league, it's going to be a year where it's going to be chaotic, just like it's been in college basketball all season. We are going to have people losing at home in games that you wouldn't imagine that they'd lose. It's going to be a fun year of college basketball. We've got a deep league. We've got great teams at the top. You have to love what you see here in December for the Big Ten Conference.
Andy mentioned Illinois. They're up 15 now over Maryland. At Maryland, Andy. What performance.
They played them very well last season, weren't able to close it out. But, you know, getting to this Big Ten schedule, Greg Gard told us this afternoon, this is a reset for them. And that's actually the beauty of playing these Big Ten games in December. When you struggle in the non-conference, you can get going and reset your season because it's 0-0 in the Big Ten. And if Wisconsin, as they should, being up at 28 right now, they should be able to hold on. Now they're 1-0. They may not be 1-0 overall, but they can feel like, you know what? We can still have a very productive, you know, season because of the way the Big Ten.
Well, Greg Gard, his staple, and it was the same under Bo Ryan, but these teams, as Wall is fouled, Tyler Wall, the freshman, will go to the line. And Andy and Robbie, you guys know this as well as anyone, but the staple of the Badgers and their cultures, they improve as the season goes along. And whether that's the personnel that's on the floor, and in Wisconsin's case this year, to get Micah Potter back December 21st, that's going to be a nice add for Wisconsin. You figure they are going to improve. They're playing great at home. Do they transfer that on the road? But last year, the Big Ten produced 8 NCAA tournament teams. Michigan State went to the Final Four. And this 20-game conference schedule does give you multiple opportunities with highly ranked teams, most likely, that are going to give you the nod that you might need, especially some of those bubble teams. Count the basket and 1 for Race Thompson. And that's going to be the 4th foul on a lean forward as Thompson a chance at a 3-point possession.
If I can add on Micah Potter real quickly here.
They're not booing you, Andy. You can add on. They're booing the call.
All right, well, I will just say this. The Badger coaching staff looks at Micah Potter as another Nate Reavers. They don't want him to be the Messiah. He's not the savior here, okay? But what he is he's another player that they think can rebound especially well defensively. Good passer, will fit their system better than he fit at Ohio State. And there have been times during this losing skid prior to this game where, you know, there's been no replacement essentially for Nate Reavers. And yet Micah Potter can be that other post player that can really alleviate any kind of stress inside when they need that.
Foul is called on Trace Jackson Davis. Well, Micah Potter, so he is a junior. He's essentially going to have a season and a half of eligibility, much talked about and newsworthy story. His appeal was denied by the NCAA, but he will have an impact on this Badger team. And Robbie, as we talked to Greg Gard, you know, those touches in the paint, and he's going to help with that. He's a good passer. And he gets touches in the paint. That cleans things up for them on the perimeter.
I think it adds another guy that can make a shot. He's a guy that, we see Al Durham run over Brad Davison. He's a guy that can spread the floor and shoot the basketball. And you can never have too many of those guys. So I think what Andy said is important, though. When you have guys sit out, and you have a guy that's not playing, and you've seen him play before, he can, it's like his game gets better every day that passes. It happens with injuries. It happened to me at Purdue. It's just one of those deals where it's like people maybe forget what your realistic skill set is. So Michael Potter's going to have to play his way into a rhythm. But at the end of the day, you know, he averaged 4 points and 3 rebounds at Ohio State. He's a good player, but you can't expect him to change totally what Wisconsin is doing.
He was in the headlines so much as Kritzel, long range 3, comes up short. Chance for the Hoosiers here. It's been all Wisconsin. Hoosiers down 18. The freshman, Trace Jackson Davis, in traffic and a foul, and Jackson Davis will go to the line.
He is a big, physical, athletic freshman. And when you let him get to his left jump hook, Kobe King really not doing a great job right there of shadowing that right shoulder. But the second jump of Trace Jackson Davis, so impressive off the floor.
Well, later tonight on BTN, don't miss second round action of the 2019 NCAA Women's Volleyball Tournament. Wisconsin, who beat Illinois State to advance, they'll take on UCLA, followed by Minnesota against Creighton. All later tonight on BTN on the Fox Sports app.
Look at you with that volleyball knowledge.
Volleyball. Wisconsin, an impressive program. All the Big Ten. The Big Ten is
terrific league. Every year, 8 deep to the NCAA tournament.
Brad Davison gets it deep, and it's blocked by Jackson Davis. He's fifth in the Big Ten in that category. Down in the corner, Jerome Hunter misses, and Davison with the board. Wisconsin, this is where they put the clamps down. They've got a big lead, using plenty of clock every possession. Tyler Wall got off his feet, able to find Pritzel. Shot clock at 7. Kobe King sitting on 19 points, gives it up. Pritzel on the drive. Pritzel with the reverse and gets it off in time.
You gotta say, you gotta give a lot of credit to Brevin Pritzel. Coming off a tough game, only took 2 shots against NC State. He's been active from the start, and how about there, understanding he has enough time to head fake and get to the basket.
Lead is back up to 28 for Wisconsin. Wall gets the play called for him this time. Freshman against freshman, and Wall goes to the other side of the rim. Reavers with a replay on the sideline. What a performance for the Wisconsin Badgers this afternoon.
Well, Brevin Pritzel or something, and turns out, go Hoosiers. Which honestly is hilarious, and it's honestly what also makes the rivalry awesome, because it's a friendly deal. It's not malicious, but he was just letting me know that he was there, and I appreciate that. I think the Indiana-Purdue rivalry is outstanding.
What was the fate of the napkin, by the way?
So yeah, so I was meeting my girlfriend and her family, and she went to Indiana. I hate to say that, but I was meeting their family down in Florida for the holiday, and we see Kobe King get to the basket. Her niece had sneezed and needed to blow her nose. Nice. So it was the perfect opportunity to use that napkin.
30-point game. Cute babies are always a must. Brian Anderson with Robbie Hummel. Good crowd on hand today. Big day for the Wisconsin sports fan. Of course, the Badger football team ready to play for a Big Ten title against Ohio State. That'll be on Fox later tonight. Don't forget our tailgate crew, Dave Repson and the gang, will get you all set up for the Big Ten championship game from Indianapolis later tonight. Indiana just trying to get something going here, something that could carry over to their next game. I'm trying to dig something out of the dirt here in Madison, but it has been a wake-up call for Archie Miller's Hoosiers, their first road game of the season.
Just from looking at this game versus the Florida State game, I thought, we talked about how hard Indiana played, and they certainly fed off the crowd. The Assembly Hall was as good as you're going to see in December. Absolutely electric for that game. And it's a different deal when you come on the road, and especially into this place. This has been a house of horrors, not only for Indiana, but for so many teams over the last 20 years. It's not an easy building to come in and win at. And you've got an Indiana team that's finding that out the hard way here today.
Well, the Badgers are poised to win their 17th consecutive home game against Indiana. Indiana has not won a game here in Wisconsin and Madison since 1998. That was the first year of the Kohl Center. And Andy Katz, everything we thought about Indiana and playing a pretty light schedule, but then answering a bunch of questions with a victory over Florida State. I think all those questions are back in play now after this showing.
Yeah, as Robbie said, I mean, when you go on the road, you need to learn about your team and learn how you handle adversity. In terms of the schedule, look, I think they thought that Princeton would be a little bit better. South Dakota State, they still feel will, compete in the Summit. And Louisiana Tech, we'll see how they do. So they thought it would be a little bit of a stronger slate. But in talking to the staff this afternoon, they definitely feel like this team, maybe not as talented, obviously, as last season. There are no true, sure NBA players on this roster. But they think the chemistry might be better and certainly will be better with this group over the long haul. And that's what they're banking on. And clearly, roles are more defined. Justin Smith is a perfect example of that. He understands that he's not a three-point shooter like he was last season. They think that he'll obviously find his groove a little bit better. Once they get Rob Finney back, you add him with Devontae Green the way he's playing, then you've got really two strong backcourt guards that can lead. So this team will get better once they're whole, much like the Badgers once they get Micah Potter back and are a full team. We'll see a different team when these two teams meet, by the way, in the last game of the Big Ten season.
Andy, I totally agree with you. Coming into today, I've been really impressed with the effort that Indiana's played with their togetherness on the offensive end of the floor. It's appeared that their chemistry so far this season has been much improved. And I think Archie Miller pointed this out to us today at shoot-around. He was saying, we have some experience, but this is a very new group playing together. You've got freshmen out there. You've got a transfer big and Joey Brunk. So they're still learning things about themselves. And obviously, I think everyone could say, we wish that we had come out here today and given a better effort on the road. But that's just, it's one of those deals about learning lessons. And honestly, if you lose by 30 on the road and it wins you games down the road, it's not for nothing. So we'll see how Indiana uses this going forward. If they can use it as a springboard, it could be a positive deal.
Well, and here's the deal on their schedule. They're done with one bid level teams. I mean, after this, they're in New York on Tuesday against UConn. Then they resume Big Ten against Nebraska. Then they're playing Notre Dame in the Crossroads. They got Arkansas at home. They're playing great under Eric Musselman. Then they start the Big Ten again in January at Maryland. So they're done with all those kind of games. It's the real deal from this point forward.
Yeah, that's a good call, Andy. Indiana with a 7-0 run here, as they were down 30 at one point, 68-44. Badgers by 24. King misses the little mid-range. Kobe King still the high scorer with 22 points. Devontae Green gives it up. Wisconsin's largest margin of victory in a Big Ten game came against Indiana. It was a long, long time ago, 1911, and they did it again in 1914. But those were 42-point wins. Good defensive stand. Reavers gets a block.
With the amount of talent offensively on the floor for Indiana, I just don't think that the Joey Brunk drive from the perimeter is what you're looking for at this point in the game.
Here's Anderson on the take, and may have gotten a touch at the rim. Durham lines up a three, knocks it down. So Indiana on a 10-0 run now as Al Durham hits a couple of shots. Durham's got 7, and a whistle in the backcourt. Brunk fouling Trice. Speaking of potential upsets, how about this? Illinois on the road at third-ranked Maryland. 39-25 at the half, of 14 points.
That's a talented Illinois group, and a little surprising with the way they played against Miami in the Big Ten ACC Challenge. Down 27 in the first half. They come back and make a game of it, lose by just 2, but they're a team that's trying to figure some things out, and they can be so disruptive on the defensive end with the way they pressure and can take you out of your half-court offense. See right now, Maryland finding just that out.
Get a chance to see Illinois here on BTN on Wednesday. Michigan will be in Champaign against the Fighting Illini. 7 teams in the Big Ten got votes in the latest AP rankings. You have the 4 that are in the top 11 in the country. Maryland at 3 is the highest ranked Big Ten team, but Purdue, Indiana, Penn State all receiving votes this week. Going to be a foul on Wisconsin. I believe they're going to get Trice. Be his second foul. 8:07 remaining in the second half. It has been all Badgers. By the way, that game, Robbie, in 1911, That was a 42-point Wisconsin win. The final score in that game was 51-9. So they still played it in the 50s and won by 42.
The greatest defense of all time, 9 points.
Wisconsin, not typically a team that has the big winning margins in Big Ten play.
Their style of play just usually doesn't permit it. They love to play and grind games out. And it's not saying that they don't have talent. It's just it's the way that they've gone about their business, and they've done it in such a successful way from Bo Ryan on. They love to beat you in the 60s. And that's exactly how they want to play the game.
Last time Indiana won on this floor at the Kohl Center, Dick Bennett was the head coach of Wisconsin back in 1998. Wall able to save it. Shot clock down to 7. And Trice on the take. Trice finds the open man. Pritzel. Rebound ripped down by Trace Jackson Davis. Davis averaging 9.5 boards a game. Right now in the top 10 in the conference. He's 8. Nice steal by Reavers. Big man can move. Excellent defensive game for Reavers. Reavers playing with the 3 fouls. Has 16 points. Now give him a steal. Taking a page out of his mentor's book, Ethan Happ. Reavers vacated the area. Wall turns it over. Franklin gets the bounce. Franklin with a layup.
Strong drive by Armand Franklin. Comes out of Cathedral High School in Indianapolis. A guy that's going to be a really good player for Indiana going forward.
Franklin played his high school ball at Cathedral. Indiana's made 5 of their last 7 field goals. Badgers haven't made a field goal in about 5 minutes on the game clock as Wall posting up. And Wall, flurry of moves, and he scores again. Remember, had the reverse against Jackson Davis earlier, and now goes to the strong side.
You can imagine that's going to be shown in film tomorrow. Archie Miller. It's just not a matchup with Trace Jackson Davis. Tyler Wall, not a guy that should be able to score on him in the post. He is too strong, too physical.
Franklin with the answer again. 20-point game now. 6 minutes remaining at the Kohl Center. We asked Archie Miller about Trace Jackson Davis' defense. Where is he? If we use the school analogy, say, well, he started out as a kindergartner defensively, and now he's maybe moved up to elementary school. But that will have to come fast.
I guess you got to start somewhere. And a guy that's maturing in his game and learning some hard lessons today on the road. Tyler Wall giving you all the moves. A little up and under. Trace Jackson Davis goes.
Wisconsin and the Big Ten want to send out our thoughts and prayers to Howard Moore, who's now going through his rehab in a long-term care facility. And there you see one of his closest friends, Rashard Griffith, who's really become almost a surrogate father to Jarrell, the 13-year-old son of Howard and Jennifer Moore, who survived the crash. And Jarrell, they did a wonderful thing that we had on BTN earlier this season where they announced his name. He came out on the floor, and Rashard really has done a wonderful job of just being there with Jarrell in addition to Howard's parents. Trying to, have some sort of normalcy for Jarrell here in Madison. And I'll just tell you, I was talking to Greg this afternoon at shoot-around, Greg Gard, and he was just telling me how surreal life has been, and he got really emotional and just chatting with him because you try to go through the daily life, and you know that one of your closest friends, your assistant, Howard Moore, is going through an immense long-term rehab and just the horrific tragedy that he went through and his family has gone through, and just trying to keep it all together. But Robbie, you know that this also, you had to deal with life on the court, and it really forced a decision in terms of an assistant coach.
Well, and I have to say, just from being around Howard Moore as a player at Purdue and then knowing him as the head coach at UIC and then getting to know him again as an analyst here, it's one of the best people you'll ever meet. Yeah. And we hope to see you soon, Howard. We love you. And just a story that we hope has a great ending.
Now, not just the psychological trauma, the physical trauma he had to deal with as well. And Andy mentioned the new coach on the bench for Wisconsin, Orlando Tucker, has come on. And he's not sure if he wants to make it a coaching career, but knowing that his alma mater was in need of a coach, an impactful individual in his own right, one of the great players ever here at Wisconsin. Played a number of years as a professional in the NBA and then overseas. And Orlando has been part of this coaching staff for Wisconsin.
Can you imagine their scout team?
Oh,
they got on the floor. Kravenhoff and Orlando Tucker.
Davis gets it off in time, comes up short. Anderson with the rebound. Getting to the 4-minute mark in regulation here. And Wisconsin has kept their thumb on the Hoosiers today. Had a blistering first half of shooting, did Wisconsin. Highest first half field goal percentage this year. Shot at 62.5% in the first half, and they've maintained their excellent shooting. Timeout on the floor. All Badgers on a Saturday afternoon in Madison. Tonight, 8 p.m. on Fox. Gus Johnson, Joe Klatt with the call, along with Jenny Taft. We're looking forward to that. And a big sports day in the Big Ten Conference. And here on BTN, started our doubleheader of Big Ten hoops today with Ohio State in a dogfight with Penn State until the second half of the second half. And they ran away. Got into triple digits today, did Ohio State. Put 103 on the board. Ohio State looking like maybe one of the best teams in the country. Their basketball team, their football team can make the same claim. Good times in Columbus right now. 3.5 to go in regulation.
You mentioned Penn State. To me, and I saw him last week, I really believe that if Mike Watkins can keep playing at the level he's been at over the last 4 or 5 games, to me, they're an NCAA tournament team. They've got good guards, young good guards. Lamar Stevens is a first-team All-League guy, and Watkins has been incredibly engaged on the defensive end of the floor.
Free throws coming for the Badgers here. Nate Reavers will shoot it. Well, all week long. Tip-off week in the Big Ten is presented by U.S. Cellular. Great action. Good to get into conference play. There'll be a home and road scenario in this 20-game schedule here in early December. And then it's a stop down. You get back into your non-conference schedule until January. And then you have the 18-game run in the new year that all leads up to the Big Ten tournament, which will be in Indianapolis this year, middle March. How many teams will the Big Ten get to the NCAA tournament this year, and even to the postseason this season? Durham on the take. He'll go back to the line. It's one thing Indiana, who relies on free throw shooting. They lead the nation in free throw attempts, and they really haven't gotten to the line in an effective way, especially in that first half. They've averaged 21.5 free throws per game. And Durham, who rarely misses, knocks down the first. Today's Duluth Trading Company hardest working player, Kobe King. 22 points, went for 18 in the first half. On 9 of 13 shooting. His best game as a Badger, certainly his best half as a Badger, and a weapon as he gets a year removed from knee surgery. Robbie, you're starting to see his game, maybe his confidence in his knee. Somebody like you went through a couple of knee surgeries. I mean, the confidence that it is stable now makes a big difference in your game.
Well, it takes some time, and it almost takes you getting smoked in that knee, hit a couple times, have some contact to have that confidence built back up. And we've seen the explosiveness today in his pull-up jumper. He's gotten to his spot whenever he's wanted to. And honestly, for a lot of the game, he's been the best player on the floor. Look at that drive.
Strong move by Kobe King.
He just put Al Durham in the weight room.
Kobe King now at 24. Every point he's so they score the basket. Said he got it off in time. They took a quick look. And Kobe King with 24. Reavers with 20. Badgers share their scoring. 4 of their 5 starters average in double figures. And a couple of big performances today from King and Reavers. There's Smith on the drive with Ford on him, and Smith off the window. Justin Smith adds to his total. He's got 10 now. 21-point Wisconsin lead.
I'm really curious to see what Indiana's going to look like Tuesday against UConn. Right? We talked about their inexperience playing together, and now they've got a game under their belt on the road. Go to a neutral site and play a Power 5 opponent.
Long two by Davison. Well, the Indiana schedule gets difficult, and Archie Miller understanding that before the season, knowing he was trying to build some confidence, and numbers all look great, and then added to with the win against Florida State. But it has all been unraveled here today. Chalk it up to a bad day, put it on the back burner, and get back to work. A lot of season remaining, and I'm sure for Archie Miller, always ready to teach. He'll have plenty of teaching opportunities.
And sometimes you hear coaches say, you never want to lose games, but sometimes you need a loss to teach some things, get guys' attention. And I'm sure Archie Miller is going to have this group's full attention.
In the neck, a wedgie for Kobe King. Well, all you have to do is go back to the Big Ten tournament last year, and what you would consider at the time a bad loss by Purdue, and they got ousted in that first game of the tournament. But you know, Matt Painter said at the time, this may help us, help us reorganize. And of course, they had that great run to the Elite Eight after losing in the in the Big Ten tournament. So you never know. It all depends on perspective and how the players take it upon themselves.
I think also in college basketball, you have to go through some things. You have to learn about life on the road. You have to go through certain trials and tribulations. I know my sophomore year, we lost to Duke in the Big Ten ACC Challenge. I thought it was the best thing that ever happened to us. It helped us the next season when we played high-ranked, good opponents. It's a talented but young Indiana group, and they're finding out the hard way that the Big Ten Conference is just a little bit different.
Archie Miller would have loved to have had a road game prior to this run. Their schedule will be pretty intense next year. Kobe King gets a great hand. What a performance today for the man from La Crosse. 24 points for Kobe King. Most points scored by a Badger this year. And with 82 on the board, it has been one of the greatest offensive showings for Wisconsin. Got some of the walk-ons on the floor now. Michael Ballard will get some minutes. Joey Hedstrom got some minutes in the first half. He's back on the floor for Wisconsin along with Walt McGrory. Here's Trice on the take. And a foul, no shot. Hoosiers still playing hard all the way to the end as Armand Franklin. Well, hard to believe Wisconsin continues this long home winning streak against the Hoosiers. 17 in a row. Hoosiers are going to drop their first game. They were trying to go to 9-0 for the first time since 2012, would match the best start in program history. Badgers will improve to 5-4 in snapping a 3-game losing streak. Ford and Trice done for the night. Carter Higginbottom is in to join Hedstrom and Wall. Up when the walk-ons get a chance to get some time on the floor in a real game, in a conference game no less. Ballard, and he's fouled. And Ballard, who has not scored a point this year for Wisconsin, will have a chance to get himself in the books. A lot coming up for you here on BTN. Don't forget the tailgate crew is ready. Dave Repson and the gang in Indianapolis. They'll get you set up for the Big Ten championship game between the Buckeyes and the Badgers on the gridiron. That airs on Fox. All smiles here in Madison today. And they're hoping to make it 2 for 2 with their high-profile teams. McGrory with a foul. So more free throws coming. Enjoy it, Robbie. Good job today. Looking forward to hearing your work.
Thank you. Hope you do it again. Good job to you as well.
Back in the studio next, are you? Or you have...
I've got a couple games this week, actually.
All right, good for you.
Going to Iowa City. See Minnesota, then I'm going to Champaign for that Michigan game you mentioned earlier.
He's taking kindly to this TV gig.
Yeah, it keeps me busy.
He's still playing though.
Sort of, yeah, I guess you could sort of call it that.
Been on an impressive diet for a week. And
thank you.
Not ready to keep it
stayed
going.
strong today. The ice cream was passed to me, and I passed it on.
yes. Thanks to our friends in the nitty-gritty, by the way.
Yeah.
Cooper Bybee on the floor for these final few seconds. A standing ovation here at the Kohl Center.